Tiffany Simpson.
I'm Tiffany Ike, and
We're from Team Houston. I participated in the economic violence seminar.
I participated in the bullying seminar.
I believe that it really opened up the eyes of everybody that was in the room. We just really got to the bottom of each problem and just really trying to figure out solutions, trying to get to the source. Like hearing each and other stories, it hit in so many different ways, and I had so much empathy for everybody in the room.
I wouldn't even consider it a suburb. It's just like a small town in the middle of nowhere practically. But so it's really interesting for me to kind of feel like the scope of like my community and then like pick it up and pull it over 15 hours across the United States and drop me here in Chicago, and it's like you guys have these struggles that I don't even know about.
When being an illegal immigrant, when I think immigration or immigrants, I think about people trying to move on with their lives. I'm thinking about people who are trying to move out of this hole that they're in Mexico that they can't get out of, but then we're discriminated against for it.
If I see a cop up the street and like right in front of where I'm going like all the way around and waiting for them to leave, because I don't like have time to fuck up my future because of some racist police officer. So it's like I don't like living in fear of somebody else.
Violence is violence. I feel like the biggest foundation of all of them is just people thinking they're different from others, when we're actually in reality the same. Like we're a human race, not necessarily like we shouldn't be trying to fight each other or something like that. And a lot of it is just the violence is everybody has this mentality that we can't work together. We can't. So I feel like that was a very important thing that we should spread throughout not just America but the rest of the world, so we can realize if we work together there'd be less violence. So.
You're black, I'm brown. Why are we fighting? We are colored. We are the same shit.
Yeah.
We are the same shit. We face the same motherfucking oppression. Why are you fighting me? And that is so big in Chicago.
I think because like people like, I don't know, I think it's basically like the way that we think now, we stay, our minds stay in the cycle. This is the way that we've been trained for years. Like back like in school with the same textbooks that we read the same thing, it was always the same. And they basically taught us what side to be on. Are you gonna be on side A or are you gonna be on side B?
There's a confusion or a mix-up or a disagreement with what we classify ourselves as, what society thinks we should classify ourselves as, and quite possibly what our faith classifies us as. Because I'm Christian, and in the Bible, not gonna quote it word for word, but it says that a woman should be, for lack of a better word, submissive to her husband. And the thing is, I feel like personally for me, it's a 50-50 thing. If I'm being loving and nurturing to you, then you should also be loving and nurturing to me back. You don't actually have to say, I love you 50 times for you to say it one time. So I feel like it's all what you believe and how you portray yourself as.
I realize that a lot of people have been bullied in so many different ways. Like you don't realize what you're saying to people may be offensive. Like you don't know a lot of people's background. And I feel like it was important that we kind of aired that out almost in the room. It was like it was an environment where everybody was just talking about their feelings, like how all the different things. And I realized the biggest problem is people try to ignore.
You speak about rape as if it's so black and white. What about the gray area? What about when you've gotten to know a person past the initial meeting? It's not just someone walking up to me and raping me. What if it's someone that you've known? What if it's someone that you've invited in? What if it's someone that you started, like, maybe you did want to go somewhere with it and they took it too far, but if you say something, it's like, well, you clearly showed that you wanted it. So I guess sometimes it's a question of, is this something to speak out about?
Implicit in that is an equivalence that I think people in power make too between nonviolence and non-action, you know? Like, I think there's a teaching that's handed down, right, from people in power that's like, any response that you bring to us, we're gonna treat it like it's a violent response, right? Like, if you stand up for yourself, then you're being violent. And I think that prohibits us from being able to think about nonviolent responses that are effective, right? Because we're being told that any response is violence, and I want to challenge that idea in the ideas that we talked about.
And I want to do more than challenge that idea because, for real, like, we're coming to the end of this moment, right? And the moment isn't over, but the moment with you guys in this room is coming to a close. And I get scared and I get sad hearing the disillusion that comes with all this anger, right? And I respect it. Like, I'm going to go to Ghana with you and it's going to be a ball. But before we go to Ghana, I want to talk about what we can do to raise people, to continue to raise people in our communities and to build communities that are going to be safe for other people, right? And this issue of being allies is really important. So how can we make it so that when something happens, when Trayvon Martin gets killed in the street, women, right, white women who are feminists see that it's connected to their issue, right? Because we just made a whole thing on the board that makes it very clear that these issues are all the same, right? We just had a whole conversation about gender-based violence that took us to talking about really, really easily, talking about stop and frisk, police brutality, stuff that's happening to our brothers and sisters all the time to the street, right?
My name is Burma. I'm from Toronto, Canada. And one thing that I learned today is that as long as problems are universal, solutions are too.
I tend to realize how no matter what type of label you put on violence, it's violence all in the same, and it tends to connect. Whether it's economic or bullying, it tends to connect. We're all dots, and like the violence, it just connects us all. So I feel like going to the root of the problem like we did today needs to be spread out throughout the nation, and just for all of us just to come together as a people, because we are people. You know, I was just really grateful that I'm here to experience it and hear and share my stories.